You're not flawed, darling. You're just a little under-rehearsed. By C_pages_26. At Aussie's, Stolas hadn't had the wherewithal to speak up for Blitz during their run-in with Verosica. This time would be different. The succubus wouldn't speak to his Blitzy like that and get away with it so easily this time. Blitz was in a good mood. Actually, scratch that. He was in an amazing mood, and it was because his darling Loony had agreed to spend her day off with him. He was choosing to ignore the fact that it was 100% because Stolas was treating her and Octavia to whatever their hellish little hearts could desire at Stylish Occult, a store the Hellhound wouldn't usually be able to splurge at, but whatever. The point was, he got to spend time with her and Stolas, and do a little bonding with the young owlet. It was a pretty good day, actually, if he did say so.
4 fire shakes for, bloods?
Called the voice of a young teen from behind the counter of a pop-up ice cream vendor. The customer in question snatched the tray from the young imp.
It's Blitz, dickweed!
He scowled, turning away as the kid muttered, "Whatever, dude!" and continued with his orders. Blitz made his way back to his family, a wide grin on his face as he proclaimed,
"Look what Daddy got!"
and waved the tray of dark red shakes beneath his daughter's face as she rolled her eyes. She mumbled her thanks and snatched one off the tray, returning her attention to her new friend, who was also reaching for a shake, saying, "Thanks, Blitz," sounding only a bit awkward and uncomfortable. That left one for him and one for Stolas, who stood beside him, hovering over his smaller lover, a mischievous look on his face that Blitzy recognized immediately. "Oh, thank you, Daddy," he simpered, and yep, Blitz had walked right into that one. He tugged the tall demon down to his level, smirking.
"Keep a lid on it, or you'll be in trouble,"
he growled, tail flicking the owl demon on the cheek. Stolas shivered happily as his daughter shouted,
"Oh, for Satan's sake, Dad! Oh, come on, Luna. Let's go before they start tearing each other's clothes off in the street." "Right behind you,"
the Hellhound replied. The pair marched into the shop, shakes in hand, as their fathers trailed behind them, grinning. The shop was dark and smelled of incense, with music playing throughout it that Stolas could not honestly say he understood the appeal of, but that his 3 companions seemed to enjoy. They spent a good time browsing clothes and pointing out strange taxidermy animals and insects that were framed in jars and on pedestals. The strange shop seemed to have a bit of everything. Octavia chose 2 framed pieces, a particularly mean-looking wasp with a forked tail in an extravagant gold frame, and a black moth with purple eye spots, to adorn her bedroom at her mother's new mansion. Luna grabbed quite a few new articles of clothing that she'd had her eyes on, along with some accessories and mean-looking pair of combat boots. Even Stolas found himself a new carnivorous plant to add to his ever-growing collection. "Are you certain you wouldn't like to pick something out, darling?" he asked, peering over at the imp from behind a rack of rhino leather jackets. Blitz was staring off somewhere, seemingly oblivious to the question. How odd. Stolas made his way to his lover, bending to place a hand on his shoulder. "Blitz?"
What? Oh, nah, I'm good, babe."
He was distracted by something. Stolas was sure of it. He knew when something was wrong with the other. They had been together in the official sense for a few months now, having worked out the absolute clusterfuck that was their first date, if you could even call it that. There had been a few weeks of radio silence in between the two, with Blitz outright avoiding the demon prince, and Stolas too afraid to make things worse with his unwanted presence to initiate any contact. Then came the next full moon, and Blitz had showed up at the palace as if nothing had happened, dropping the book on the prince's nightstand and his pants on the floor in quick succession, before Stolas could stop him. It had been a bit of a mess, with Stolas saying they needed to talk, and Blitzy insisting that there's nothing to talk about. He was here, he brought the book, they would fuck and he'd leave, like always. But Stolas wouldn't hear it. So they talked, and it was, well, it was a bit like pulling teeth if they were completely honest, but it was long overdue, and afterwards the pair felt as if they understood each other better. Stolas assured the imp that he did truly value their time together, whether or not they were having sex, and that he was sorry he ever made him feel otherwise. To say his marriage to Stella had been arranged wouldn't be exactly true, but his and Stella's parents had made their expectations very clear, and Stolas had found himself married to the demon princess with very little effort or true desire on his part. Courting someone he cared for was not something Stolas had much practice in, and he had royally fucked it up with the imp. In turn, Blitz had apologized for pushing Stolas away, something he did to anyone he got too close to, or he even cared the slightest bit about. Except, of course, his sweet Looney Tooney. But she did plenty of pushing away for the both of them, so it was kind of perfect, to be honest. It was in his nature to self-sabotage, especially if he felt like he didn't deserve something or someone, and he couldn't possibly deserve anyone less than Prince Stolas of the Ars Goetia. It just didn't make any goddamn sense. What was someone like Stolas doing with someone like Blitz? It was laughable. It was kind of scary. Blitz really didn't want to lose him. And while he didn't exactly tell him all of that, he said enough that the prince understood Blitz wasn't irritated by him, or spending time with him out of pity, or so he could access the book. He acted like an arsehole because he was afraid of losing the people he cared about. So, naturally, he made them hate him to get ahead of the game. After that, they sort of fell into a sort of overly close friendship that occasionally included fucking when they least expected it. Blitz would come over to watch a movie or keep Stolas company as he finished paperwork, or feed his army of plants, and if they found themselves engaging in a passionate round of sex while Blitz's horse movie of the month played in the background, well, who was complaining? Eventually, the pair were caught by Moxie and Millie while they were sloppily making out on Blitz's desk. The imp's pants were undone. Stolas' hand wrapped around his fully erect dick, and Moxie got fully spectacularly red in the face, considering his skin tone, and shouted,
"Sir, please! We're all very happy for your new relationship, but the workplace is a completely inappropriate time to do, well, that!"
Naturally, Blitz called him a prude, flipped him off, and slammed the door in his face before finishing what he started. But after that, something had changed. Relationship. His relationship. Is that what this was? They were happy for him, Moxie had said. It made him wonder, was he happy? He thought so. Stolas seemed happy too, though why he would ever settle for someone like Blitzer the fucking clown, when he could have literally anyone his tall ass desired, was beyond Blitz. Well, far be it from him to look a gift horse in the mouth, so to speak. If they were going to do this, then this time he wanted to at least try to do it right. Maybe it would all blow up in his face. It probably would, these things always did. If he was smart, he'd walk away now, save himself the heartache. But he wasn't smart. He definitely wasn't smart, and he found that he didn't want to walk away. What he definitely wanted was to take the stupid owl on a real, proper date. One that ended with mind-blowing sex, instead of tears, which was the usual. So he did. Again and again and again. And in between they still watched movies and ate sugary cereal and got drinks in fancy bars and shitty ones too. And they fucked in Blitz's office when Moxie was around just to piss the little guy off. And they took baths together and they fucked in the perfumed water and made a huge mess for someone else to clean. They laid out under the sky, and Stolas ripped gaping holes in reality to point out faraway constellations to Blitz, who was half listening as he pushed his face into the soft feathers of his lover's chest, and purred and purred and purred. It was good. It was really good. Too good. Something had to give. Back at the shop, Blitz was frowning.
"Listen, Stolas, I'm just gonna step outside for a sec. The, incense in here smells like shit. It's giving me a headache."
Oh, all right. Are you certain you want me to come? I can give Octavia my card and...
"No."
Blitz was already leaving, not looking at the other.
"It's fine, alright? I just need some air. I'll meet you outside."
If Stolas said anything in reply, he didn't hear him over the sound of the shop's music and the blood rushing his ears. Fucking Verosica Mayday was there, on the other side of the shop, and her stupid fucking entourage with her stupid gigantic tits and fuck! He just needed to lay low, sneak outside, and not attract her attention. If she saw him, she was definitely going to start talking shit, and Blitzy didn't need that. Things between him and Stolas were actually working out. They were good. It was almost scary how fucking easy it was to be with him, and Blitz wasn't going to let Verosica, with her giant tits and her big fucking mouth, ruin it until bringing it up all Blitzy's shitty mistakes and making Stolas realize what a fucking loser he was. It would happen one day, and Stolas would leave, but for fuck's sake, he just wanted a little more of this before it all was said and done. So, he hid behind the shelves, ducked around patrons, and rolled down aisles like a super cool secret spy, and was nearly at the exit when his tail smacked into a display of two-headed phoenix and sent it, and its glass case, crashing to the floor. Well, shit. All heads turned to stare at him. He could see the concern and confusion on Stolas's face, his young owl surprise and a mixture of anger and embarrassment on his own daughter's face.
Blitz, what the fuck?
She shouted, and before he could even gesture for her to be quiet, he heard the sound of one of the pop star's lackeys go,
Hey, Verosica, isn't that your loser ex, Blitzo?
He groaned, dragging a hand down his face.
It's Blitz!
He growled, unable to help himself and knowing that they didn't care and wouldn't listen. Verosica cackled. I thought I smelled male insecurity, she said, sauntering over to where he stood, in a mess of glass and fallen merch. What's the matter, Blitzo? Can't find anyone willing to fuck you after your little freak show at Aussie's? You're gonna fuck this dead bird? She plucked the taxidermy phoenix and waved it in front of his scowling face before he smacked it away. You know, since the last bird you tried to stick your limp imp dick into probably realized what a disappointing piece of dog shit you are. Her cohorts laughed on cue.
Fuck you, bitch. You don't know what you're...
Pardon me? A voice cut in, cold and forcibly pleasant. Blitz whipped around to see Stolas suddenly standing behind him, posture ramrod straight and glowing eyes narrowed and trained on Verosica.
Shit. No. This is exactly what I was trying to avoid. Stolas,
he began, really not sure how he was going to fix this or get the owl out of here before Verosica dug a nice deep grave for his fledgling relationship to be buried in. Miss Mayday, was it? The prince continued, ignoring Blitz. I don't believe we've been properly introduced. Why don't we step outside and... He tilted his head, as if considering his words. Talk. Verosica threw back her head and laughed. You want some advice dealing with this clown? Blitz flinched. Here's some. Dump him. He's a pathetic nobody. A two-bit washed-up hack. A selfish asshole.
Stolas, holy shit! Dad!
Whoa! Stolas had Verosica by the throat and was holding her at arm's length, her feet kicking and swinging in the air as she clawed at the hand crushing her windpipe. The air surrounding them swirled with shadows and darkness, growing cold. In the dark, Stolas's eyes glowed dangerously, fixed on the struggling succubus in his grasp. I did try to spare you the embarrassment, you know, but you simply did not know when to shut the fuck up, he said, and his voice sounded even darker and more terror-inspiring than it did when he rescued Blitz and his team from the demon hunters in the living world. Blitz shivered, not sure if he was scared or maybe just turned on. Or a bit, or both. Yeah, who was he kidding? It was both. Stolas waved his hand beneath Verosica, and a portal opened up beneath her, horrible sounds emitting from it that set Blitz's teeth on edge. The pocket dimension seemed so dark that it pulled away what little light remained in the shop until everyone was choked in darkness, with only the glowing eyes of the portal and Stolas's 4 red eyes shining through it. If I ever see you speaking to my Blitzy again, or if I see you so much as look at him, and if I hear you have been running your filthy little mouth or causing trouble for my sweet imp in any way, I will send you into the deepest, darkest, coldest reaches of the universe where no one will ever look upon you again. You will die alone in unfathomable despair, and only your own wretched mind to keep you company. You will beg for death, but no one will ever hear you, and you will forever live in the dark, so broken and tormented that when death finally takes you, you will not even notice the difference, and you will slip away into anonymity for the far reaches of the cosmos, unseen and unknown, with no one to mourn you. Do we understand each other?"
"Yes,"
she gasped, body hanging limp and eyes rolling back in her head. Stolas smiled. Good. He let her fall in a heap on the ground, gasping and coughing, as the air and the light in the room returned all at once to normal. The patrons were all shaking and huddled against walls and shelves, breathing shallow. Blitz was staring at Stolas, eyes wide.
"Fuck! I am so in love with him! Fuck!"
"Now," the tall demon began, "I believe you owe my paramour an apology. What do we say, Miss Mayday?" Verosica planted her hands on the ground, glass crunching beneath her as she pushed herself up onto shaking arms. She looked up at Blitz, then at Stolas, who raised an eyebrow expectantly. Blitz almost felt bad for her. She looked like shit.
"I'm sorry,"
she bit out, a little of her normal fire hovering beneath the words that she obviously did not mean. "You're sorry what?" Stolas prompted. She grit her teeth. "Blitz." The imp grinned down at her.
"Nah, don't sweat it, Toots," he said.
She bared her teeth at him again.
"Wonderful. So glad we could come to an understanding."
Stolas clapped his hands together, looking for all the world like he had just arranged a pleasant business deal with an old friend. The humiliated and frightened pop star made her hasty retreat, along with her group, who pointedly did not look at Blitz as they left. Blitz heaved a loud sigh. What a day! He was glad he didn't have to pay for this mess. Yeesh. He was sure Stolas would be in touch with the owner to settle the damages, and he didn't really give a shit. He turned to see his daughter and the owlet making their way over to him and Stolas. Luna had seen Stolas' protective rage once before, but Octavia had not. "Are you all right, my Starfire? I'm very sorry you had to see that. I may have gotten a bit carried away," the avian prince said softly, smoothing a hand down his daughter's feathered hair. "Dad, that was awesome," she said, and Stolas blinked in surprise. "Can you show me how to do that? Please?" He laughed, patting her head. "One day, Via. You are rather young yet, you know." She groaned, slumped rather dramatically, but didn't argue with him. Beside her, Luna was standing awkwardly by Blitz, looking like she ate something sour. She took a subtle breath and let it out.
You all right, Dad?"
she asked, bracing herself for his usual manic elation at the very rare occasion that she referred to him that way. Without fail, his eyes lit up and he clung to her arm, kicking the dead bird out of his way to get to her. She groaned and looked up at the ceiling like she wanted to jump through it.
"Doing great, sweetie. Wanna grab lunch? There's a new burger place that doesn't have a rat problem yet."
"Sure. Let's get out of here."
"You and Octavia, go ahead. I need to, yeah, just give me a minute, okay?"
he said, and Luna nodded, shooting a glance at the prince who was watching the exchange. The two girls left the shop together, purchases in hand, which thankfully had already been paid for. Blitz turned and stepped towards Stolas, one arm crossed over his chest as he rubbed a hand along the bicep of his other arm.
"Thanks,"
he said, suddenly feeling a little overwhelmed and not trusting himself to say much more. Stolas smiled and bent to lay a kiss between the imp horns, cupping his face in his hands. "No need to thank me, my darling. I should never have let her speak to you like that. I could not allow that to happen again." Blitz blinked hard, several times, his tail coming up and twitching in the air before to wrap around Stolas' wrist. Before he could shut himself up, he said,
"She's right, you know. About me. I'm not—"
"Stop it." Stolas' voice was firm, and it shut Blitzy up fast, only because the avian demon never spoke to him like that. He sounded kind of pissed. "I know what you're going to say, and I don't want to hear it. I do not like it when you speak the way about someone I care so much about, he said, rubbing his thumb along the empty cheek in firm strokes. Blitz sighed, shoulders slumping. Fine, whatever. Can we leave? People were starting to stare openly at the couple, the fear wearing off, as if someone pulled their phone out to record Blitzy was going to lose it. Stolas smiled sweetly at him and pulled him closer for a chaste, but drawn-out kiss that someone made Blitz feel even more exposed. Blitz glanced around, face flushed, and flipped off the oglers as the prince stood up with his full height again and took his hand. They left the shop together, walking outside and falling in line between the daughters, who began making their way to the lunch spot once again, and then they saw that their father's hands were joined up.
Oh, Blitzy, I almost forgot,
the owl said suddenly, and reached into his cape for a small parcel.
I know you said you didn't really want anything, but then I saw this, I simply had to get it for you.
He handed over a small black bag with a flourish.
I hope you like it, darling.
Blitz raised an eyebrow. Better not be some freaky butt plug with a dead rodent on it or something, he grumbled, tearing open the bag. He gasped, eyes popping excitedly.
You got me a horse?
And Stolas laughed, pleased.
It's rather majestic, isn't it, Blitzy?
He said, watching his silly paramour wave it around and galloping ox through the air. It was black with a purple mane, and 6 vibrant green eyes, made of gemstones.
Fuck yeah! I'm gonna name it Pencil Shavings,
Blitz said, and Stolas made a face but didn't comment.
Blitz had such odd names for his horses.
But if he was happy, then Stolas was happy.
His little love looked at him,
clutching the gift to his chest.
Come here,
he said, voice deep and growling in a way that made Stolas shiver. He bent down to the waist so he was face level with the imp and gave a little hoot that was pulled into a kiss that definitely would have resulted in clothes being torn off if they weren't in public without their daughters. Blitz's hand was tight on the back of his head, keeping him locked in place.
How's about later tonight you take this stallion for a ride,
Blitz purred, tangling his fingers in the feathers and tugging hard enough to elicit a moan from his lover.
Oh, Blitzy,
he sighed.
I'm going to ride you into the...
What the fuck, for fuck's sake?
Both girls shouted in unison, standing much closer than the pair had realized.
Seriously, you two, can we have like 1 whole hour where you're not fucking groping at each other?
Luna snarled.
Stolas pouted, returning to his full height as Blitz let him go with a roll of his eyes. Don't be a prude, sweetie, he said,
and Luna growled at him in reply.
I'm fucking hungry. All right, fine. Come on. Burgers for all 5 of us.
5? Octavia questioned.
Yeah. You, me, Stolas, Looney, and my new horse popsicle stick.
I thought you named him Pencil Shavings, Stolas asked.
Well, I changed it. Now let's go.
Stolas smiled, trailing behind his spirited lover. If you say so, Blitzy.
Note: Stolas ain't fucking around here. Disrespect his boyfriend at your own risk, y'all.